The concept is simple. Store up villagers until a thunderstorm. Convert them all to witches via lightning. Profit. I'm doing this on our Let's Play in Survival. However, someone pointed out that there's a way to avoid entity cramming. So it's too late to change my survival world. But I did want to showcase a way to do this in creative. And just for fun, we're going to do the entire thing in a giant witch statue. Okay, just made the new world. Actually meant to click super flat, but we spawned in next to a village. And this is actually pretty sick. So there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. And I'm thinking we're going to incorporate the statue into the village somehow. I think that this spot over here where the paths don't go to anything, I think this is perfect. So we can just slide it in between them. And yeah, this will work great. So I put the shoes down and nothing can go in this part. But from here all the way up, that will be the rest of our farm and everything will be stuffed in there. And this has got me thinking, this is going to be much, much tighter than I had in my head. So hopefully this works. I guess if you're watching this now, it means I figured something out. So, just like the Let's Play, this is starting off with the villager breeding area. The shape of this is going to be the shape of the witch body. The total farmland is a little bit less than ideal, but I think it'll still work. And we will need light in here because we will not have the natural light that we have now. If you can imagine, there's going to be several breeders stacked on top of each other. So we'll only have the artificial frog light in here afterwards. So the bed area is too big to fit within the witch, so I'm thinking it'll actually spill out the backside a bit, and I think that would actually look pretty cool to have like a transparent area of the build in back that you could like see into the rest of things. So we're going to use brown glass for the floor of this bedroom area, and I did some testing and I got this whole thing to work with only 4 interior blocks, so that's what we'll do. So next we have to collect the kids, so we'll pop out these 2 blocks and we'll have trap doors here, and then I'm thinking we'll wrap this whole tube of stacked bedrooms in regular glass. And then I should probably put the actual beds in. Is that important for villager breeding? So what I'm thinking is we'll arrange the beds like this, with 1 on each end and then 2 in the middle, and then all 4 beds will have the 2 required dismount block areas adjacent to the bed, and then that way all 4 of them will be recognized. So now that we'll have 4 beds, infinite food, the villagers will start spitting out infinite villagers. I spotted the villagers, the first carrots, to get this thing going. Really just wanted to double check to make sure it works before we repeat it a bunch of times. And it looks like it does. So the adults can't get through with the trapdoors here, and then eventually the kid will run towards the beds. I've never had an issue where a kid reaches adulthood before wanting or trying to jump on a bed. The next thing we need is more of the breeders stacked on top of each other, so that means we need more of this volume and more of the witch statue complete. So I'm building up the front right now, and then once we get that done, we can do the sides. And I have a couple of images in front of me, and that's what I'm basing this off of. So once we get the front up, then we can follow with the other 2 sides. The sides are in. I was thinking ahead a little bit, and the hat looks like it'll be big enough for the electrocution and the killing chamber. So what that means is we can use the head for more breeding areas. So I'll fill in that one now as well. Someone made a witch player skin, and that has been very helpful in making the face. Regular witch images are helpful as well. The face is always the creepiest part, especially around the eyes. We don't have as many skin tones as like a regular Minecraft skin, so we'll take some creative liberties and put some freckles around the forehead as well. And you know what? We are actually going to need a wart on this nose as well. The brown mushroom block seems like the right choice for that. Alright, that is sufficiently disturbing. Perfect. I completed the rest of the head and started roughing out the breeding areas. We can't squeeze them as vertically as much as I was hoping because the space needed above is needed for jumping space above the beds for breeding. So this is kind of the best we can do. So now I'll infill the farms with the bed space for the rest of the witch. So I just filled in the rest of the witch with farms, and now seems like the right time to add the remaining details on the statue. So what that means is we will add the hat and the arms. Okay, hat is on, arms are in. Yeah, this is really starting to look like something. I think that this does it for the decorative parts of the build. The next thing we need is the collecting system for the kids to get to the lightning rod. So we will not need a separate storage area for this. So what I'm thinking is at each level we can have them drop down and then go down a pipe on the left side immediately, and then we can at the bottom have everything then feed into one thing to go up to the top. And I think that would be the smoothest. And then once they're at the top, we'll just feed them into the hat area. And that's where we'll shock them and then kill them afterwards. Sometimes it's easier to show it. So it is in now. Basically, they fall down and then they get piped to the bottom where they can then get brought up to the top. So getting them to go up pipes without clogging, and that's the key, without clogging, takes a bit more vertical space that we just don't want to dedicate each floor to. That's where we're going to have it at the bottom here. So we want to do it right, and so we've got to do it like this. And then after they go through this, they'll just go all the way up to the critical part of the whole thing. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to kill them after they go into the hat. And my first instinct is fall damage, but we actually can't do that because that's over the rest of the farms, and we want to do it just in that area. So that leaves a couple of options, and witches are a little bit trickier to kill than you might think. We can't use campfires or magma blocks because they can drink fire-resistant potions. We can't use water because they can drink water-breathing potions. This wither flower technically does work to kill them, but they really can draw out the process by chugging health potions, which leaves the natural nemesis of the witch, the minecart. So technically, yeah, this is entity cramming. There are 25 minecarts in there, so basically they'll get crushed to death. So how will the chamber itself work? I like vines because they don't have the lip. You actually only need the vines where their feet are, which gave me this idea. What if we had the vines grow over a piston, and then when lightning strikes, it breaks the vines, and then the witches cram on themselves. Afterwards, the vine will just grow back between thunderstorms, but then you are left with 24 witches. The whole thing is probably too cute by half. Instead, I think it'll be easier just to drop them with a piston onto minecarts like shown earlier. So what is with the anvils? So vines grow and will eventually infill the space, and when they kind of surround the whole thing, that will mess up the piston dropping below them. So we can't have that. We want the vines only on one side. So to get around that, we'll use blocks that vines cannot grow on. Now, to be clear, they can grow over a lot of things, but they can't start growing on certain blocks. So the first thing I thought was something like this lectern. However, we actually can't use something like the lectern because they are definitely combustible. The lightning could strike near them and then they could catch fire. We can't fault them too much for burning, as we humans share the same character flaw. But yeah, basically that's why I put in anvils. Okay, it is installed. So they come up and over and then fall down into this thing here. Under this carpet, this is the piston. So this piston will pull back and they'll fall into the killing area, and we'll go there now. So you can see the piston and green block that they are on right now. So that'll retract and then they'll drop into these minecarts here. And so I just use glass for the flooring for no spawning, and then also we can see into the top breeding area. And then we can just chill out here in the hat during the thunderstorm. And so I think I could leave this AFK for a long time, or I could just manually load it with 700 villagers, and that'll save us all a bunch of time. So I think I'll do that now. Alright, that was a lot of lag, but here is the loot. Actually, a lot of it despawned, so we didn't even get it all. So I think if I made this in a survival world, There's a couple of things I would change about this. The first is I would probably hide more breeding areas underground so that we could get villagers a lot quicker into this, similar to what I'm doing in the Let's Play, actually. And then the next thing, I would probably add a counter, also similar to what we're doing in Let's Play, just to cap things at like 400 or something, just to make sure that the lag doesn't get too crazy. And then finally, we'll need a better system to pick up the blocks so that we don't miss out on stuff. But all those things are pretty simple changes. Conceptually, this thing seems like it works awesome, and that's great. So thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day.